い、ミリエラのお尻が好きって。
ああ
どう好き
その
嫌いなの
好きに決まってるだろ
2.5 Dimensional Seduction. This show is so good. Since the introduction, let me say it this way. Since the introduction of My Dress Up Darling, the notion of a anime kind of surrounded about cosplaying totally just like it went from zero to no interest to really high interest, because My Dress Up Darling is one of my it's definitely in my top 30 shows. I just absolutely adored that show and everything that it conveyed and just the uniqueness of it. And with Dimensional Seduction, we have yet another show that's doing, I think, a really good job of showcasing cosplay. And one of the things that's doing really good is showcasing how people can get into it, right? Like, this girl, essentially, she went in and she attended like a Comic-Con type event, and she got really inspired, and she wasn't thrown off or dissuaded because of the way that they're dressing. Literally, you have these people who are simply dressing as their favorite characters. And yeah, some of those outfits may be risque, but she doesn't get deflected or demotivated by it. It's a motivator for her to really want to go out and put herself out there and not really care what people think, but do it for the enjoyment. And it's just such a really cool concept. So overall, I'm really loving this show. And episode number 3, my biggest conflict I think I have with this show right now, or like my biggest like quirk with the show, is it's obviously centered around Masamune, and it's centered around Ririsa. I'm never gonna get this damn girl's name right. It's the double R's. Ririsa. So it's really centered around these two characters, and the inevitability of them potentially, getting romantically involved and stuff. And I think this episode definitely made that even more apparent, at least on Ririsa's side, for sure. But my big thing is, since the introduction of Mikari last week, I was like, I love her. Like, she is awesome. And I love her whole thing of being being a supermodel, being like a model, but really beginning that journey to really just get noticed by a boy in Masamune. And Masamune is definitely a very otaku kid. And, this episode had her discovering that this whole time, the secret sauce was just, getting closer to him and being noticed by him. The whole secret sauce was just being interested, or trying to get interested, or trying to be a part of his hobby. And because he has such a passion for manga and everything, and specifically he has such a passion for this particular show, manga, and this particular piece of media, really her secret sauce was just kind of entering into that world. And she noticed that in this episode, she noticed that just kind of being a part of this, like, Masamune himself said, like, I had no idea you were still this otaku. I had such a great time just talking to you about it. And that's really, I think that's like the entry point for a lot of people, right? And you could have a different interest, whether it's like, and you see this happen in real life all the time. Like, maybe you're interested in a boy or a man or whatever, man, woman, girl, boy, however you want to say it, but you're interested in another person, and maybe they're like a super sports fan. Maybe they're the fan of like a football team, like Dallas Cowboys or something, whatever. And you have no interest in it, but by you having an interest in the person, you then begin to kind of have a slow interest, and maybe even that interest will turn into actual like true interest. And maybe you start being like, hey, we got to get ready for the game, or maybe you buy tickets. Like, your personality does tend to shift with, loving those who, may love a piece of media or something, of that nature. And I think that kind of ends up happening with all of us. I know very well, like I'm a big, obviously you guys, you see, I'm really big into games and gaming and stuff like that. And as you see, a big into Pokemon, right? Like, and my wife, specifically, she also liked Pokemon. Wasn't like, insane like I am, but kind of over the years, her initial like of it turned into also a craze, and she's really crazy about it now as well too. And I mean, we've spent our journey. We've watched all the shows, we watched all the seasons, we watched all the movies, we've played all the games. Like we a year after we're in our relationship, we bought our first DS, and so those things happen. So that's kind of why I love this show so far. Although it's really out there, it really is kind of realistic the way that Masamune is getting closer to a 3D girl in Ririsa, because she's bringing something very different, but it aligns with what he's interested in, and that's driving his interest into cosplay more. And really, it's what was ending up happening is you take away the cosplay, take away the manga, it is driving the interest of each other into it. And then now we have Mikari coming in, and her realizing that this whole time she's been keeping up with the manga and stuff. She's very familiar with it. And she kind of is familiar with it out of spite because of Masamune. But because she's interested in it, she now has that in to get closer to Masamune too, and now be part of this hobby, come and be and cosplay. And she has now found the secret sauce this episode. And I just really, really love that. The other thing I'll say about this episode is, Jesus Christ, it was spicy. So I just gotta let you, if y'all didn't know, I have to let you know, I have kids, okay? And literally over here, if you guys can kind of see, over here I have my door or whatever for my office, my work, my workspace that I have here. And I had to close the door because I was like, Jesus Christ, when they were coming in and they were, I was like, oh my God. I was like, okay, even though nothing's really happening, I still have small children. So my advice for you is door closed, door closed or headphones on, or maybe both, headphones on and door closed. I don't know. But yeah, so some spicy scenes here that I really enjoyed seeing as well too. And I love that Mikari was able to kind of put herself, she was like, yo, she's like, you like this character's ass, right? She's like, what about this? I was like, God damn. She really, her love, Mikari's love for Masamune is pretty crazy. Virtually, and I think last episode really showed it, and they hadn't seen each other in years. And if Masamune was, if he was more, I just gotta say it, I know it might, if he was just more of a man, he could have gotten very far with his reunion with Mikari last episode, just because her love is pretty it's like eloping status. And if you know what I mean, getting married, it's pretty up there. It's kind of wild. And it's kind of attractive in a way too. You know what I mean? I think I can't speak for every man, but I think most men, that type of love coming your way, that's you feel oh my God, you want me like that? That feels pretty good. Obviously there's a fine line between filling that cup and then, crazy. I think if it passes the if it goes into that crazy territory, that becomes yo, whoa. But if it's, if it's there, but not going into the psychopathic crazy type deal, I think every man would really appreciate that. So I really love that as well too. Last thing I'll say is at the end, you can tell Ririsa is starting to catch feels because Masamune doesn't quite understand the proximity effect and getting too close. And although he's had some moments, this episode he took her bra off and, some biddies popped out and stuff. And obviously he has reactions to that, as every man would and should. He doesn't really understand the touch and feel, and I think he'll get there. But Ririsa obviously picked up on it a lot quicker, and you can tell she's starting to catch feels, and that's going to be a whole other ball game. Also, one, I know I said last thing, but very, very last thing is also too based on the OP, based on the poster, and based on kind of what I've seen here. It looks like there's gonna be 2 other girls introduced into this show too. So next week is the event. So it could be that they meet somebody, or maybe they could be students at the school as well. But it looks like at least 2 more individuals are gonna come into play with this show as well too. So I'm hype. I'm excited, and I can't wait to watch more of 2.5. Dimensional Seduction. So let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments. You know, you guys may not be feeling it the same way. You may be, you may or may not be, but let me know if you guys are feeling it. And yeah, interested to see all the discourse in the comments. And I'll see you guys next week. All right, peace.